Dieter with Key Realty, and welcome back to another monthly market update. Glad you can join us. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the June 2022 numbers for the Columbus, Ohio market. We finally got them in. I know it's about end of July here, but we always get the numbers towards the end of the next month. So we can now look at the numbers to kind of help paint a picture of what's going on in the market. And we're going to dive into this. If you've followed along before, I just share my screen here with you, and we'll jump into these numbers. This is from the Columbus Board of Realtors. Again, they produce these nice little clean worksheets here to kind of show us what's going on in the market, kind of the major data points that we can look at and kind of see, okay, what's going on here, where are we, and where we're going the best we can. By looking back, we can try to help look forward as well. So June 2020 or June 2022, we're here. As we can see, as you probably saw the headlines that, home sales have gone down. I don't know if you pay attention to the headlines or just see the scroll and seeing this. If you've seen things like, the market's slowing down or crashing, here's some things to consider. Yes, we had less sales. As you can see here, sales are down almost 10%. That's normal this time of year. My first thought, it's summer. June, from May is our busiest time of year. Spring's the busiest time to sell. You probably have heard of this. The spring market is the busiest, best time to sell your home traditionally. And so there's traditionally more sales because more people think about listing their house then. And so we've had less sales. We have, going back to new listings, we've had less listings as well. So, you can see here a slight decrease in listings compared to last, June 2020, 21. So we are seeing some slump here. The last 2 years have been an abnormal market, and in some ways an unhealthy market. So to see these numbers, kind of go down a little bit, what I want to really start comparing, are we getting back to the pre-pandemic market? And that's kind of the signs I'm seeing that we're seeing in this market. We're starting to get back to, the 2019, 2018, 17 kind of similar numbers. In fact, we're still actually ahead of the 2019 market when it comes to closed sales. Let's jump back all the way there. So you see here, we're about roughly where we were in 2019 with the number of houses closed. And believe me, no one was telling you in 2019 that this is a buyer's market or the market's crashing. You can see here, average price per square foot in 2019 increased, average sale price increased by 7.2, median sale price 7.5. These are two just kind of, different data points they look at. So it's kind of a good way to look at, okay, what direction are they going as a whole? Roughly 7.5% is kind of a good number. Here, we still have 12.1% and 14.5%. So not, we're still, when it comes to median sale price, double the acceleration of cost for this, compared to last year, compared to 21. And that's, so it's hard to say that the prices have gone down. You may have seen the headlines where they're saying, home prices are dropping. And it's not necessarily home prices, especially in Columbus. And a lot of the stuff you're seeing may be national news. And so real estate's so local, and Columbus, has a lot of things going for it that I've obviously talked about in the future or the past of these episodes. And so go back, watch those. I just did a monthly, a mid-year recap, and I think I talked more about that. But anyways, we're still seeing a price increase. We may see homes that are priced come down in price drops in the actual asking price of the home. But that's just because people are overpricing their house compared to last year even. So just because a price drop comes or homes don't sell right away doesn't mean that prices are going down. What that may mean is that the acceleration of increase has gone down. So when you have a 20% appreciation rate and you drop it down to 15 to 10, there's going to be a slowdown there. People say, okay, wait, we overshot the market a little bit. Let's bring it back to reality with price drops. But again, that's pretty normal in the summer as well. That's a normal thing we see in the summer because of the spring market. A lot of people get, some buyers may get desperate in the spring and make offers that, all of a sudden accelerate the market in the spring. And then the summer, people think that acceleration rate is going to continue. And so, we see, summer kind of have more price drops and homes sit a little longer than we would in the spring. So last month, May, we closed, it was more than we closed the previous May, but we closed 3,227 homes. This month, I mean, we actually closed more homes in June than we did May. So when you see the headline saying, home prices dropped, yeah, it's year over year, and through this year, we've had a negative 0.2 difference in closed sales. So Columbus is still not seeing a slowdown, so if you're waiting on the sidelines and you're like, I'm waiting for the market to crash, I'm waiting for things to slow down, that, that waiting, this year, year over year, you missed out on, roughly 12 to 13% of appreciation on that house that you could have had. And plus now that house costs more on average. So those are things just to consider. The other thing that I always look at is the supply. Supply's gone up 14%, which is great, but 14% when you're at 0 or 0.7 is not, a huge number. It's not, excuse me, 0.8. So we're seeing an uptick in that, but not a huge, like, okay, all of a sudden there's a ton of homes in the market, flooding the market, like we saw in 2008, to 2010, where we had all these builders and not enough buyers for them. So we still have, plenty of buyers out there looking for a good home. And so, kind of the recap, this is, I don't see a price decrease as a whole. Homes are still selling, especially homes that are, going back to the 19, 18, 17 markets, where if you had a nice home, you had multiple offers, there still was bidding wars. We didn't have 20 offers, maybe not, and 50 showings, but we may have 10 showings and 3 offers and stuff like that. So getting back to a little bit of a healthier market, especially for your buyers, is going to be a good thing for Columbus as a whole, and seeing some appreciation drop. I've been saying this for a while. We're going to see this rate of appreciation drop, but I don't think it's going to go negative, if that makes sense. So maybe a closer to, the 5 to 10 range, depending on the season, depending on the timing and things like that. So also, with what's going on in Columbus as a whole, that's going to affect it as well. And then the last thing is interest rates. I know interest rates are going to affect this because, obviously that helps, hurts your buying power. Every 1% of interest rates, kind of hurts your buying power by 10% when it comes to the purchase price of the home. So that is a big factor in this. And I've heard both things still. I've heard, the Fed is raising, supposedly going to raise rates again. Will that, mortgage rates have already, kind of risen because of that. So will rates continue to go up? I've heard anywhere in the 7s, maybe the low 7s, but I've also heard that it could go down to the 3s again. Just different economists kind of have different views of this. If we do go into a recession, if we end up having a true recession, one of the things that, typically happens during a recession is interest rates go down, but same time, unemployment's so low that it's kind of an odd recession, in this case. So we'll see what happens. It's hard to predict. The reality is, again, when it comes to the market, those things are just one factor. The major factors are, what's happening in people's lives, life change. We had a lot of life change the last few years. People deciding that they want to work remotely. They want, to have a different lifestyle in a sense, even change cities. A lot of change happened in the last few years. And so, will that change wane? Will people stop making changes? Will people stop having babies? Will people stop getting married, divorced, starting families and getting promotions, or even, losing jobs? Those are things that really dictate what's going to happen in the market when people need to buy or sell houses. So one cool thing I just want to, kind of touch base on, kind of outside of the numbers, is I was reading this article. I've been kind of talking about this for a while, which has kind of helped, because, a lot of the conversation I'm having right now with people that are renting is that it's getting hard for renters to keep up with the inflation. And then, on top of that, the interest rates going up makes it even harder for them to get in a house. And so there's some good news for renters, is that there's a technology out there. I've always kind of thought this, that there's got to be a way to track renters' payment on, rent payment, to say, okay, instead of just credit score, when you get, when you go ask, what can you afford with a loan, you go talk to a lender, they're going to ask you your credit score. I always thought that was, it's obviously one way to track, kind of your financial, risk in a sense. But I feel like the renter, do you pay rent is when it comes to paying your mortgage would definitely be a better way of kind of evaluating your risk on lending you a mortgage or not. And so there are actually some new technology in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac who really backs most mortgage, unless you're working with a little community bank that's going to hold your mortgage in house. Most of the time, there's still Freddie Mae or Freddie Mac guidelines. And so they actually open up a new guideline here that's going to, this is from Inman that I just got on reading, but that it's going to allow them to start tracking, rent payment and say, okay, we're going to start tracking that along with credit score and say, okay, what is the risk of this buyer? So not only is it going to help, maybe hopefully help some landlords out there, help, make rent a little bit more of a priority, but also help renters, ultimately the good renters that are paying on time and doing things that can really help them get in a house. Anyways, I've been kind of always curious about the idea of someone creating that, so it's fun to see it kind of come to fruition. Anyways, well, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, as always happy to have an individual conversation with you, because as I said earlier, the market's local, and even your local neighborhood can be completely different than the neighborhood across town. So always happy to have that conversation, questions, concerns that you have. Let's chat. Give me a call, text, or even an email, and we'll follow up. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.